This is a Guide Your Light network production, creating podcasts with purpose.
My name is Kiani Mills, and this podcast is created to help you see, feel, and experience the human side of business. I'm a business owner, an entrepreneur, and a parent. And like many who have travelled this path before me, I've been through the lows of the lows and the gut-wrenching pain. But I've been through the triumphs and the wins and the indescribable highs, all of which I consider to be my lessons in the school of life. On this show, we are going to start some conversations to ignite new world ideas into some very old age businesses. So if you're a leader, a business mind, or an entrepreneur, get ready to think, act, and feel differently so that we can all reach a new level of business success together. So, what are you waiting for?
Welcome back to this week's episode of She Can Humanise Business, where I love diving into conversations to let the human shine and see where we can fit business in, maybe if it fits into the conversation. Today, my guest, this is going to be a great episode and I'm super excited. It has taken me a little while to track him down and get him on the show. So I'm super excited to have you here. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I saw you on a mutual friend of ours podcast, Nick Bader, a little while ago. And as soon as I saw that interview, I was like, right, I have to get you. I have to get you. So I'm really, really grateful for having you. I'm not just trying to blow you up with hot air. I'm very, very genuinely excited.
So good. I'm actually really stoked to be here too. So thank you.
Good, amazing. Even after you've had a little bit of a rough weekend. So we'll go into that a little bit later.
Yes.
But I love to start every episode with the same question, which is, what does humanizing business mean to you?
That is such a good question. I would say for me, it's all about putting people before profits, whether that's in your organization, whether that's within your customers, like always understanding that humans and people come first, understanding their values, understanding their needs. And I'm someone that has understood this pretty early in my entrepreneurial journey, and I always really value whenever somebody can speak from the heart and has the most genuine interest within them to be of service to others.
I really love that. I feel like with everything that's gone on for the last couple of years and the craziness and the uncertainty, that statement there around leading from the heart and being in service of others, I feel like it's shining brighter than ever at the moment.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I remember when I first started my journey, in entrepreneurship within the network marketing industry. And my mentor at the time, this is 6 years ago, initially I remember I would go into conversations, and which would be obviously sales conversations, trying to start a product with the intention of just selling a product, with the intention of just making money. And so I was all in my head and I wouldn't even listen to what the person's problem was. And then eventually when I managed to make that shift from here to here, my mentor told me, you have to be interested, not interesting. You have to have this like glass of water near you, and you got to make sure that the person is always speaking more than you. If you finish the conversation and your glass of water is still full, it means that you've spoken too much. Drink that water and let that person speak. And that was a game changer for me.
That's amazing. I love that. So be interested, not interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. Like such a tiny little shift in mind, and obviously the ability to drink the water. That's freaking crazy. I love that. So simple, but so effective. You're right, because in most instances, especially when you're trying to sell, you are already preempting the opposition or the objection that's going to come from it. So you're already in your mind trying to kind of overcome that and think about what you're going to say next, as opposed to,
yeah, zip it.
So you've been able to apply this method. I'm sure there's many others, but we're going to talk about this one now. How did that change things for you once you were able to be interested over interesting?
Oh my gosh, it changed things radically in terms of business, but also in terms of relationships. And I am someone that really values networking, and I really value meeting new people. And so, I'm sure you would agree that like our biggest net worth is our network. And so the more people you can have in your network and the more influence you can have in that network, who knows when you will need those people. And so applying that principle to every kind of conversation I would go in really helped me, because I'm someone that obviously loves to ask questions, and I love to listen to people's stories. And so my motto was like, I wonder what kind of impact I can have with this person right now. And so I just go in, I just really want to get to know this person as quickly as possible in the deepest way possible. And by asking some very deep questions, you're able to leave like a mark within even 5 minutes. And then that person leaves and says, wait, I've just spoken for like 10 minutes. Like, what about you? Like, tell me about you. And the goal is to just let that person, let him feel seen, let him feel heard and really valued.
That's like the ideal human needs.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And as you said, like leaving that mark, a lot of people along the journey, rightly or wrongly, whether it's through sales or through interaction, especially through relationship, it can sometimes be a notion of receiving before giving.
Mm-hmm.
What is this person going to give me? How is this person going to better my life? How is this person going to bring value to me? And we miss that fundamental part of getting to know the person before the expectation of receiving anything in return. And I know for me personally, that's where I've seen a lot of even business relationships fall apart is based on expectations. If I'm understanding correctly, what you're saying, going in without any expectations except for being of service.
Yeah, being of service, exactly, like leaving a positive impact and even managing to cause some sort of a shift within someone's thinking for a few moments. I believe that everybody that comes in contact with you, there's a divine purpose for it. And so if I am next to a human being for a little bit or for a longer period of time, then I want to make sure that transition or that connection is serving a greater purpose.
I heard this little analogy once, which is a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Yeah.
With every interaction, there's a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got this like funny example. I went to one of my first personal development events in 2016, I think it was, and it was all about leaving your comfort zone, right? At the time, I used to be super shy, and I did not have many people's skills. Like
I used to imagine you being shy.
I was so shy. So I used to manage a restaurant and I used to talk to many, many people in my work environment, but you've put me out of that. No idea. Yeah. Anxiety. Like, oh, I don't want to talk to people. Anyway, this event was all about leaving your comfort zone. And so it was a 3-day event where every single 20 minutes, the person will get you to change position and move next to someone new and just start a conversation. And he made this silly example at one point on stage where he was saying, imagine yourself when you go into an elevator, right? You go into an elevator and then someone walks in. And if you're going, say, up a couple of floors with them and there's just silence, isn't that awkward? And everybody was like, yes, it's really, really awkward. And so he said, from now on, whenever somebody walks into an elevator, just say hi, just say something. And from that exercise, I always apply that to every interaction that I have. And so I'm the kind of person that if I'm in an elevator with like 3 or 4 people, I will just turn around and be like, hey, did you hear the news today? And they're like, what? It's going to be a great day. And they're like, and I've changed their state for like even 2 seconds. Mission accomplished.
I love that so much. So you're one of those people on a plane when you sit next to someone that's got their headphones on and you're like, what are you reflecting?
So that's interesting. On the plane, no, I'm quite the opposite. Okay. Like I actually stay in my own zone on the plane. Yeah.
Well, I'm very much similar. And I speak to so many people who go, you won't believe who I sat next to on a plane. And I've thought about it a couple of times. There was one instance not long ago. I think I was flying down to Melbourne and there was a gap between me and the man in the same row. And he was watching a movie and we had like a little joke when the food came and things like that. But there was a couple of times where I genuinely tried to spark up a conversation, but he was just so in his movie and I just went, there I like insert myself into his little alone time. So I've decided that I'm not going to do that again. So
I understand. Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah. But the elevator thing, that's interesting. Interesting. Have you had any funny responses from that?
Not really. I've had people who don't really seem like they haven't had the best reaction, or they're just thinking like this crazy guy, like leave me alone kind of thing. But yeah, I just prefer to be myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Always. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So speaking of yourself, you do a lot of things, magical things, incredible things. Your journey seems like it's been incredibly fulfilling. A lot of soul searching and finding yourself along the way, which I love. And these are the conversations that I love having. So in a nutshell, describe to us like what do you do? What do you say that your profession is, and where does your time and your passion get spent?
Thank you. Great question. Professionally, I now have an online business in the network marketing industry. I'm with a company called Isogenics, which was the initiation of my entrepreneurship and, personal development journey and health journey and everything. And so that was where I first saw my ticket for freedom, because I used to be a restaurant manager back in the day, and I loved my job, but I also wanted to be a little bit more independent, and I wanted to travel more. I wanted to say yes to anything I wanted to do. And so that to me was like my ticket to freedom. And I've been in the industry now for, I think almost 8 years. So that's my main passion. I help people transform their lives physically through our products and also financially. Apart from that, I also have a few online hustles. I'm all about passive income. I've just recently finished writing my first book, which we're not quite sure on the title yet, but it's
how exciting.
yeah, thank you. It's a book on how to go from being distracted to on purpose by connecting the mind, body, and spirit. It's a bit of a self-help memoir where I share lots of vulnerable moments. I believe that in every story there is a lesson, and the blessing is always to find it. And so I had this vision of like sharing a few stories where I have had the most impactful lessons in my life to help the person that I used to be. So excited for that to come out.
Before we jump off that topic, is there one that you would be able to share with us as a little sneak preview, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. See, the thing about me, like my lessons are always so deep. Okay, we're doing this. So the first lesson that comes to mind is, I would just say this, fuck it. I lost my virginity with a sex worker when I was 14 with a prostitute. I was very, very young. I didn't mean to do it, but my uncle took me there because it was a gift from him after I worked in his restaurant. And at the age of 14, when that happened, I got back home and I was thinking, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I want more of it. Like, where do I get more of this? Like, that to me was like utter happiness. Like, can you imagine 14 years old, like, experiencing that? And so when I then turned 18, I started working in this warehouse near Florence in Italy, where I was commuting to and from on a daily basis. And in Italy, sex workers work on the street. And so as I was traveling to and from work, I would see these sex workers on the street, and my mind, I just went and relived the experience when I was 14. And so essentially for like almost 2.5 years, I was stopping like probably like 1 to 2 times a week just to replicate that feeling. I had girlfriends and it was a little bit of an addiction for me. And because of that, I wasn't able to be fully intimate with my girlfriends. I was trying to fill up this void through an experience that I had, and not knowing that void just kept me from becoming more intimate with my girlfriends. And so it was almost as if I had this like fake mask and this fake wall, and nobody could really reach the real me. And then it wasn't until I started spending a little bit too much money on them where I realized that it was a problem. And a friend of mine introduced me to a therapist, and then I did some therapy work, and I managed to obviously heal that little boy. And I managed to understand that I was obviously wanting deeper connections in my life, and I managed to stop that addictive behavior. But that was one of the biggest, I guess, lessons that happened to me, because for the longest time, like I wasn't able to, I was, you could call me the classic avoidant or somebody that would run away from intimacy, but I would go and search it from sex workers essentially, and that would prevent me from finding real and true intimacy with a partner.
Yeah, wow. Thank you so much for sharing. I could imagine that there would be, even though for a 14-year-old boy, that is the gift of a century, there is also an element of that experience of love and passion with a woman for the first time being somewhat taken away. Was there an emotional hurdle that had to get over, or there was a part of you that had to really kind of grieve that experience as well as the addiction that came from it?
it had become somewhat of a habit, and so that in itself, I understood that there were some patterns, and so I would usually seek for it when I felt bored or when I felt sad, and so I had to replace that addictive behavior with passions and other fun elements in my life, which again at the time I didn't know, but once I found out, it was really, really easy to implement and break the pattern. So I guess at the beginning, yes, there was a bit of grief and it was hard, but once I implemented new healthy habits, it was easy, because I got to the point as well where I could see myself going towards a lot more pain if I kept that addictive behavior versus what I truly wanted in life. And so for me, it was worth sacrificing that short-term pain of breaking the habit, but then going towards my actual vision for my future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting as humans, and this is, came up, we were both at the Tony Robbins event not long ago, and how we are instinctively wired to seek pain, but the pleasure from that pain is so overwhelming. But yet the biggest and the quickest and the most fundamental, I just made up a word.
It works.
Fundamental way is to find the pain in the problem and link the pain to what it would feel like moving forwards. So for that little boy in you, he had to feel the pain that he would feel to carry this through the rest of his life, to be able to realize that there is pleasure on the other side, that it's not going to be that, it's going to be something greater.
Yeah. And it was hard to take in as well, because, when I was like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, like back in the day, I didn't it was something that I hadn't quite thought about yet. To me, that behavior was normal. Didn't really know much about values back in the day. It was a process.
It would have just been an incredible, and look, I mean, hindsight is such a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, such a beautiful gift, as you said, finding the lesson, finding the blessing in moments like that. Give us an ability to look at ourselves in a totally different way and decide who we're going to be tomorrow, and not take who we were yesterday as, this is who I have to be.
Absolutely.
It's incredible. So how has it changed your values now around love and intimacy?
Good question. So what happened before was that with my previous partners, I was very into them, but then I would go and seek for that moment of release elsewhere. Fascinating behavior. Still trying to figure it all out. And now the way that it's changed dramatically. So now I am searching for obviously something deep, something meaningful. I've realized that by having that type of behavior, I wasn't really able to have a deep and meaningful vision for the future with my partner, because I was sabotaging myself every single time, and I was breaking my own integrity. And so I stopped believing in myself. I stopped having confidence within myself. And so once I understood that and I made the decision to become a superior man, then that obviously completely changed. And now the values that I have and the vision that I have for myself and for my future family is solid.
Beautiful. An incredible book, Way of the Superior Man.
Such a good book.
That word is a very special word. So every time someone says it, I'm like, I know you've read that book.
Yes.
Incredible book. And what a story and a journey. And it's a beautiful one, because I really do feel that there's a lot of people out there that do feel as though that they're a slave to the habits that they created when they were younger. And to me, this is a testament of you're willing to, number one, look in the mirror and say, that's causing me some element of pain that I don't want to continue. And then secondly, courageous enough to follow the journey, because as we know, opening Pandora's box tends to lead to a little bit more pain before we get the pleasure, because we've got to figure it all out. And as you said, it's a journey, still figuring it all out, to now land in a place where you're able to see that you weren't bad or wrong or indifferent. It's just something that you pick up along the way. And
I am grateful for it, because I'm now able to talk about it, to share about some of my trials and tribulations. And it's interesting because I actually started to talk about it openly through Nick's podcast, and then I received so many messages from other men who were going through the same situation that I was going through. And that just really opened up a new possibility for me of thinking, wow, what if I can help even more people by just being vulnerable through my experience, which I hadn't considered before. And so I believe that, once you actually heal from it, once you go past it, then it's our duty as humans to really help another. And so here we are.
No, I absolutely agree and resonate wholly. I was very similar with my journey. I was like, it's mine. People will judge me. No one needs to know. I just keep it all back here until I got an opportunity to share. And again, the feedback. Again, now it's my responsibility to be open and share the vulnerabilities and realize, because once upon a time, I'm sure you were the same, you feel so alone. You go, this is only happening to me. No one else is going through this. I'm not going to put this burden on anybody else and share my struggles. Whereas, now it's like, we are all the same and we are all going through very similar things, maybe not at the same time, but in this lifetime, probably going to be a lot of similarity between a lot of people. Yeah, it's a bit of a generational thing too, I feel. So lots of that coming up at the moment. But look, I really appreciate the share. And I do feel like it's an appropriate time to bring up the intimacy with the cats. As I spoke about how much my daughter loves watching your cat videos. What made you start doing these videos?
You know what's really interesting? My cat taught me so much about love. So my cat is actually my best friend's cat. It's not mine. We look after her together now, but she went back to Lithuania and was traveling for a month and a half. And so it was just me and Eros, the cat. And initially, every single morning, I would wake up and, do my morning routine. I would meditate. I would be so happy. And then I come in the kitchen and my cat was literally messing up everything she could mess up, like, mess up the plants. And then, she would tear up the curtains and such a mess from like first thing in the morning. And I realized that I didn't have any patience. I was getting angry and I was like, what is happening to me? Like, why are you triggering me this much? And so the first few weeks, I was really practicing patience and compassion towards her. Bless her, just a little kid, just a cat, like, Thomas, get your shit together. Like, she just wants to be loved. And then the more we kept our relationship going, the more she got closer to me. And obviously, because I live by myself, and at nighttime, I was, every now and then you feel a little bit lonely, obviously. And she would just come on top of my legs and she would stop purring. And we just started developing this beautiful bond where she just knew how I feel and vice versa. And I just slowly started to fall in love with her to the point where I would come back home and I just could not wait to see her. I was watching funny video cats one night and I saw this girl who was doing some funny videos with her own cat, and that inspired me initially because I love to make fun out of myself because I'm single and I'm like, fuck it, let's have a laugh about it. It's an interesting world we're living in, the dating one, and if I can create some entertainment, why not? I brought the cat into it, and without even knowing it, people reacted really well. It went viral with a video, and then I was like, okay, you know what, let's keep doing this, and I'm having fun.
I love it so much. Honestly, I've commented on many of your videos because I'm like, I can resonate. I totally get that. Let's just talk on that topic of this crazy dating world. Look, not all of it's bad because we live in a world of technology now. So I feel like gone are the days where people, I don't know, there was a lot of bad energy and bad thoughts and press around these dating apps. Now there seems to be a million of them and everyone's on everything. Then I saw they've released these coloured rings that you can wear that mean different things. Have you seen those?
No.
Apparently. So they're like these baby pink, baby blue, baby yellow, baby green, different colours. And they mean different things. One's like looking for monogamy, one looking for polyamory, one looking for bisexual or same sex, whatever it might be. Each colour has a different meaning. I was like, wow, this is kind of next level. At least people are meeting face to face now. Like, that's a cool thing. But what have you seen? What's your craziest thing that you've seen in this dating world to date?
Where do I start? I think it's all about what stage of life you're in. And I'm in a specific stage of my life now where I've been there. I've done the one night stands. I've done the hookups in a really strange place for the first time without really even knowing who I was going to hook up with. I've done it and I've seen it. and I've experienced it so much. Like I've got some funny stories that we'll go there another day about that. Now I'm at the point where obviously I know what I want, I know who I want, I know what kind of life I want to live, and I know who I want to attract in my life. And so I guess to answer your question, for me now, the funniest things I've seen or I'm experiencing are DMs or messages about people who want to have, certain experiences with me without even knowing who I am, like at the core, like what I stand for, what I want. And so I always find these conversations really, really entertaining because to me, you have to have some sort of compatibility beforehand. And I don't even do casual sex anymore. And so I just tend to find that really, really funny. So there's lots of small talk. There's lots of people that they're on a dating app, but they don't even know what they want. Like they can't even put a couple of prompts on. They actually showcases who they are as a person. Apart from like, yes, let's have spicy margaritas and I want a man that makes me laugh. Cool. And so that I just find the dating arena right now like a place where you can actually have a laugh, do some research and development.
I love that. So turn the crazy into a little bit of entertainment, because I guess too in the stage of life that you're in, and you're quite open about where you're at and what you're looking for. So receiving a message like that, I feel for someone who maybe wasn't conscious like you or doesn't look at it as entertainment could be quite kind of intrusive to go, oh, hold on, that's not what I'm putting out. That's not what I'm asking for. And a little bit of like, oh, that's kind of like, I don't know the feeling. It feels intrusive that when you're so clear about who you are and what you're looking for, and then to receive something that's like totally opposite and doesn't align with values, I feel as though people could see that as a negative, but instead you're choosing to see it as entertainment. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely, always. And hey, don't get me wrong, like, whatever message I receive, I'm always grateful for it. I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much, like this is great. Like I'm just so happy that we are connecting anyway. I just choose not to open up that channel of energy, maybe because it's just somewhere I don't want to go.
Yeah, or view it in a negative light.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's really cool. I love that so much, even though you got out of telling us a saucy story.
Yes.
I'll save that for next time.
Yeah.
Well done on that one.
Is it okay if I ask the female perspective of the question you just asked me?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, what did I ask again?
They're some of the craziest things I've seen in the dating world.
Oh, look, I'm a little bit of a novice to all of that. I haven't really experienced too much, but I feel like the biggest one is like the ones that have been going on for a really long time, putting up a profile picture from 20 years ago. I actually read one the other day that popped up on like someone's Instagram, and screenshot it. They spoke about themselves and blah, 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 blah. And in their profile, they'd said they were 36. And then in the end of their little bio part, in brackets, they wrote, I'm actually 39.
Why do you do that?
Actually, they're literally on top of each other. You can see this. So I was like, either he's just doing it for a laugh, or I don't know, there's methods to madness. I don't know. But for me, it's the standard things. It's don't put up pictures that don't look like you. Don't say you're 6 foot tall. You're actually 5'6" or whatever. It's the inability to be genuine on those kinds of things and be really truthful with who you are and what you're looking for. Because as you said, with those women that have those really kind of like general profiles, I feel as though they're doing themselves a disservice because they're not being honest in exactly what they're looking for. So they're almost not giving the men, and vice versa, not giving the men an opportunity to decide if that is exactly what they're looking for also. And I guess my mentality is like, I would rather be one fish in the sea with really clear intentions and be so specific with where I'm at to find that other one fish in the sea that has the same match than meet 100 fish in the sea that are wasting my time.
Absolutely. It's a great analogy.
Yeah. So for me, it's more the basic stuff, like put on real life photos. Don't lie. don't tell me your age is different, those kinds of things. It probably took a long time as well. As a younger human, we just want to make everybody happy and please everybody. And I'll be whatever you need me to be. I'll change everything about me. I'll change my hair if you never change my hair. Like those kinds of ideas of love and like desperation of having love, for me, were very true as a younger woman. But again, maybe it's as you get older and you learn more about yourself and come to terms with, I know for me, having children, for some people, that's a hard no. Brilliant. I wish you all the luck and success of finding your forever woman. That's okay.
Absolutely.
So I feel like it's an age, and then it's an honesty And it's really being able to be truthful and being okay with that connection not going any further than a first date or a couple of chats.
Yeah. Coming from a sales background, and like whenever I'm dating, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if you don't feel the same, but prospecting for a relationship. And so if I'm gonna come on a first date with you, I'm not gonna just like beat around the bush and ask you like, what your favorite restaurant is and how the weather is. I'm like, no, let's get some real questions happening, because I want to really see if there's a match, if there's chemistry, if there's compatibility for the most part. And that's something that a lot of women that I have interacted with are actually scared of. So like when you actually confront and go towards the deep and meaningful stuff that are gonna allow you to have that healthy relationship long term, they don't know what they want, and so they're scared and they just run away.
But also too, I know as a woman, the first time I met a man who was so clear in who they were, it frightened me because I'd never experienced that before. So I was like, I was questioning, like, do I trust this man? Like, gonna tell me all of this straight away? This is like, full on. And for me, it was really confronting. And it took a little processing to be like, whoa, he's so clear on who. Like, and then I ended up in awe. I was like, I'm in awe of this. Like, how do I get that? And it took a long time, but I know for a lot of women out there, they're not used to that. They're used to the games. They're used to the players. They're used to being one of five on a, messaging round, and just growing up in that younger age. I was a bartender. I grew up in hospitality world, lots of nightclubs and fun stuff like that. So, yeah, you'd never, kissing someone every single weekend that was a different someone wasn't a bad thing. It was just kind of...
That's what we do.
Right. But now it's a little bit different. So, yeah, now I respect that so much. But as a woman, it's a frightening thing to deal with first, because then it gives you the ability to like, oh, if they're clear, am I clear? And if I'm not clear, how the fuck do I get clear?
Yeah, it's attractive, isn't it? Like when you find somebody that knows what they want, have got that certainty, it's like it's that invisible pull towards being like that.
100%. And it's the scariest thing in the world, but brings the most value to a human. And again, going back to that reason, season, or a lifetime quote I said earlier as well, is that kind of universal thought of everyone comes into our life for a reason. And in that exchange, we're going to learn something. Something might be a little thing, might be a massive thing. And being grateful for that experience and that opportunity to learn and that opportunity to teach, that should be enough.
Yeah.
Like that's the moment in time you're like, if that's what I get, God, I'm leaving this in a better way than I came into it.
Mission accomplished, right?
Look at us solving the world's dating problems. I love it.
Let's create a dating app. Done. Next business idea.
Totally. Only deep and meaningful conversations. Tell me all your shit. Leave it at
Send me a receipt from your therapist. I know you get in therapy.
I need some proof on this. Yeah. But I also feel as though when it comes to love and relationships, and even like our internal love and relationship with ourselves, to me, a lot of it comes down to how we feel physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. And I know that you do spend a lot of time in the physical wellness and health space. Have you always been that way? And then has that brought you an extra layer of who am I?
In my 20s, I did so much travel, and I was working in between Italy and America and traveling. And I guess I had some background because my mom is a nutritionist, naturopath, and PT. But I was the classic rebel back in the day. And so I was just like, go out and do my stuff. And so I wasn't living the healthiest lifestyle, but I guess in your 20s, your body can handle it.
It can do anything.
It can do anything. Absolutely. When I turned 30, I had my second lowest moment, I think, in my life. It was where I had like one of my biggest breakthroughs. And I had been partying like every single weekend. Like they used to call me the Cookie Monster, like recreationally, but I used to drink, party, like, take so many drugs every weekend to seek connection. And one morning in particular, I just couldn't really wake up from my bed. Like I had snoozed for so many different alarms. I remember looking at myself in the mirror and it was gone. Like, I had shadows under my eyes, I had poor posture. no energy. Yeah, I needed like 7 coffees before I could have even my first conversation. I was just gone. That was like my body giving me a sign to do something about my situation. And that's when I started to get into biohacking. And so different practices that could help me with my energy and my performance. Started off with nutrition and obviously physical exercise and stress management. And my life improved so much since then. Like, you know, I'm really big on energy, and like my energy became my biggest currency. And since then, I always have these like beautiful, simple practices that I live by and that I teach. And so to answer your question, health and wellness has now become like my number one of my top 3 values. It's so important, and that is something that to me, when I'm looking for a partner, it has to be one of their top values as well. Otherwise, we're just not going to be compatible. Like, it's just impossible.
And it is like, it's that notion of kind of healing yourself from the inside out.
Yes.
For those of my listeners who may not know about biohacking, would you like to give a little synopsis on it, and even some little areas, tips, tricks, places to look?
Yeah, absolutely. Biohacking is it's kind of trendy now, and it's going to be the next wellness thing for at least the next 15 years. You're going to see more biohacking centers than gyms going forward. That's how big it's going to become. But biohacking is all about optimizing your physical performance and your recovery to show up as a better human in your life. And so what I love about biohacking is that it forces you, or I guess I should use the word, encourages you to try different methods on yourself, because we are all different. And, you know, perhaps something that works really well for you wouldn't work really well for me. And so it's not about following the trends. It's about experimenting and then figuring out what's best for you. In the nutrition space, for example, you know, biohacking can be having a high protein diet. It can be intermittent fasting for energy and for longevity, supplements for recovery. Very interesting biohacking methods are infrared saunas or cold plunges. One of my favorites, which I think is the OG of the biohacks, is morning sunlight. So really making sure that you look at the sunrise within your first 10 minutes of waking up, because that just produces some beautiful, incredible things in your body, and you just feel so good just, you know, gazing at the sun. My top favorite ones would have to be the sun gazing, for sure, sun exposure.
Do you do your sun gazing with your eyes open?
Yes and no. So I look around the sun, and it's almost as if I find my way to recharge myself by looking around the sun first thing in the morning, because it's not as strong first thing in the morning, right? Yeah. So it's
still
a bit
blinds me.
Does it?
It still blinds me.
Yeah.
I have a good friend of mine who does it quite frequently, and he's up to like a good couple of minutes staring straight at the sun, and then I'll be like, turn around, thinking that he's going to be blinded, and he's like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm like 5 seconds and I'm hot.
Gone.
Oh my God. Amazing.
So good.
Yeah, I condone, absolutely agree with the sun gazing. Keep
It's
going.
fantastic. And then I guess, you know, if as human beings, if you could take a pill that could help you reduce fat, reduce inflammation, enhance your mood, and even better the way your organs perform by adding extra oxygen into your body, would you take that pill?
Fuck yes.
Fuck yes. And that pill is cold therapy. So, you know, whenever you do a cold bath, like the feeling of getting out of a cold bath and what it does to your body, oh my God. I can't tell you like how much my life has changed since. And I used to be.
Like, hey, if you could replace the hooker for anything, replace her for an ice bath.
100%. The dopamine after the ice bath, you know, twice as longer than the hooker. And it's for a good reason. Yeah.
And much cheaper.
And so much cheaper.
But for those of you who are like, ice baths, no thank you, start with a cold shower.
Yes.
My little tip was I would step into my shower and stand under it, turn it on, like have it on the hot part, but everyone knows that the first time you turn the shower on, it comes on cold. And then it takes about 20 seconds for it to warm up. So for me, that was my mental way of going, it's going to go, it's going to go, it's going to go. Then when it gets warm, I get a minute of warmness and I turn it off and done. That was how I started. And now I'm okay with the cold and things like that. But for those of you who are not ready to jump in an ice bath or stand under cold water for no reason, try that.
Boom. I love that. I love how you always have to find ways to trick your mind into doing things. Hey.
Well, it's all here.
Yeah.
Right? It's all up here. Everything we do, it's all coming from our mind and overcoming those little thoughts in our head that tell us we can't, that tell us we shouldn't, that tell us we should.
Yes. And just to finish off the biohacks, there's lots, but like I guess my last favorite one, and there's so many, I can't even put them into a list, but hydration. And so I have this like really simple hack where in the morning when I first wake up, I drink 500 mils of water right off the bat, and that just really helps with flushing out all of your toxins that you've had during your sleep, and that gives you like a lot of energy straight away first thing in the morning. And to add on to that, if you add a pinch of like Celtic salt in your water, that just really helps with helping your body absorb more of the minerals and nutrients that are in the water. And it has more of an impact on your energy, on your sleep, on your mood. So like little things that just really aren't that little.
Those little 1% changes that make a large compounding change over time.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the thing.
Oh, go. You go.
And I was going to say, like, when you talk about biohacking, there's a biohack for losing weight, for increasing weight, for longevity, for performance, for recovery, for sleep, so it's about figuring out exactly what someone needs and what they're interested in. Then you can actually go into the specifics.
Yeah, I love that too, because I know so many people, they're like, oh, I tried this diet, it didn't work. Or, oh, I did this, whatever, exercise, it didn't work. Like, great. Is that what your body actually needs?
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was younger, oh my goodness, I don't even think Facebook was around. I was in high school and this fad came out. I saw it online somewhere, and it was a pineapple detox or something like that. And I read somewhere, and I thought I read you had to eat a half a pineapple, and that was going to help cut down whatever and, make me skinny. So I sat down one night and I ate half a pineapple. I woke up the next morning with the biggest ulcers in my mouth and on my tongue because of the acid from the pineapple. It had like literally burnt my mouth apart, and I was like, oh my God. And I read it back again, and it was like half of a quarter.
A quarter.
Didn't listen to the instruction, but that's where I was like, okay, no more. I'm not doing this again. This is ridiculous. I'm done with the fads.
That's a lot of pineapple.
The pineapple diet.
Whenever I think of pineapple, I always think about men that like to think forward.
I didn't plan that thought before I mentioned the story, but yes, absolutely. That was exactly where my mind went as a kid. That was like, you're like teenagers, you're like, oh, you're drinking your pineapple, dude.
Yeah.
And the only thing I wanted to cover up on the biohacking side of it as well is exercise.
Yes.
So what are your favorite little things for people who, I'm going to assume, in our busy business world, the word busy, I hate it, but I'm using it because I know you guys love it. What would you say are the best things to do for the, those little 1% things that make massive changes in the exercise space? What would they be?
I am a big believer and supporter of weightlifting. So, if you're a high performance person and you want to have impact on this planet, and this goes to everyone, because we all want to have some sort of impact, whether it's in our business or with our family. We're all leaders of some sort. In order for us to have more success and more impact, we need to live longer. And so not just longer, we want to live longer, and we want to live healthier. And so the one thing that really does help us live longer and healthier is lifting weights, really making sure that we are retaining our lean muscle, increasing our lean muscle, because that just helps with ligaments, articulations, bones. And so finding your way to the gym and finding your way to lifting weights, it can literally be, a 30-minute workout. Even if you're working from home, there's like sets of weights where you can just like keep under your couch and just like put on a YouTube video, 20 minutes, and just lift some weights, squats, do some big compounds. That really, really, really helps. But then on top of that, if you're someone that doesn't have that, then it's all about moving your body with intention. I always have this motto where I always say, have you moved your body today? Like, you got to find a way to move your body today. Yeah. But not just like moving your body just because, that's with intention. Like, whenever you're moving it, feel yourself in your body, like, visualize that muscle grow and visualize the end process. During COVID, I didn't have access to a gym. And so every single day I was just on YouTube, like, how good is YouTube? Mm-hmm. And I was searching for, 20-minute upper body workout, 15-minute ab workout, or 30-minute leg workout. And every day I would just move my body with intention for free with YouTube.
Yeah, we're so blessed to have everything at our fingertips, aren't we?
Absolutely. So grateful for it.
I feel as though with the human evolution back yonder years when we were, living on the earth and didn't have houses and things like that, we would be lifting things every single day. Whereas now, fast forward to 2023, I find 8 hours of my day sitting on my ass lifting a glass of water, and that's about as fun as it gets. So lifting weights for a lot of people instantly would go, oh no, I can't do that. Oh no, I shouldn't do that. Oh no, don't want to put on muscle and look like a man or anything like that. I encourage you and I challenge you to think about it from the notion of what does my body need, especially to counterbalance what it is that we're doing all day, which most of us is sitting down. So movement with intention, going for intentional walks. I love dancing, putting on the music and dancing around the lounge room. By the end of it, I'm sweaty and hot. And I'm like, that was great and fun. I get to do it with my kids, even more fun. Those kinds of things. And then lifting weights just to keep your body moving, keep your body limber and keep feeling good, because that's the end result, right? Feeling good.
Yeah, so good, so good. I think it's having the awareness as well that we are infinite beings living in this human flesh body, right? And so it's knowing that to better perform, for example, our mind needs stillness. And so if you want to be more productive, you need to slow down every now and then. And people then think, I don't know, I can't slow down because I'm going to be wasting time. Well, if you don't slow down, it's going to be more detrimental for you. So really finding that, taking a knee, meditate or have a mindfulness moment, 5 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever it may be. But then on the contrary, our bodies needs movement. And so if you can really get your beautiful machine to move, then you're going to find yourself being more productive and you're going to find yourself having more energy, having more impact. And initially it's a process if you're not used to it. But then once it becomes a habit, then it's just a beautiful reward, isn't it?
Yeah. And I love it also because it's so polarizing in the notion that our brains want to run 24/7, but what they actually need is to slow. Our bodies want to rest 24/7, but what they actually need is to move. So it's almost like whatever up here wants, do the opposite.
Yeah.
You want to lay down, sit in your ass, do the opposite.
Do the opposite. So true.
So cool and simple, right? It doesn't have to be rocket science or anything that you go and spend a lot of money on or spend a lot of time doing.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you wish to share with my listeners before we wrap up this incredible episode? I could speak to you for hours, but I'm very mindful of time.
Yeah, same. Not really. I think we covered quite a bit.
All the topics.
Yeah. This went by so quickly.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It really does.
Actually, let's just round out really quickly. I would love for you to explain how isogenics have been your modality to support wellness, to support health, and how you've introduced that into your world from a business perspective, but also from a lifestyle perspective to support you. Because I'm a big fan of isogenics. I know a lot about it, but for a lot of listeners that maybe don't, it would be cool to just give us that little insight so that it all kind of ties together.
Absolutely. Initially, I'm someone that was skeptical when I first heard about shakes and supplements. I was just, I guess, ignorant, not so much skeptical, didn't know enough about it. But then my girlfriend at the time ordered a pack and I just witnessed her change. I witnessed her having all this energy and she was in better moods. And so I started using some of her products and then she was like, Thomas, get yourself a pack. So I bought myself my first pack and they usually start off with starter packs within 30-day starter packs. And it was my proper first reset. Isogenics essentially it's very successful because it focuses a lot on nutrition, on stress management, and on toxin release. And so for the first time, I was giving nourishment to my body, like micronutrients and, digestive enzymes through the shakes, which taste amazing. I was helping my nervous system calm down through adaptogens and Ayurvedic herbs. And then I was also doing my supported intermittent fasting days, which were helping me release toxins and burn fat. And as a result, my body became this perfectly oiled machine that just felt good every single day. Common misconception that people have about isogenics is that you are only using isogenics products. People ask me so you drink just shakes? And I'm like, hell no.
food.
I love my food so much. And so for me, isogenics is the foundation of my health. And so I have, 1 to 2 shakes a day with my 2 to 3 meals. I do 1 supported fast a day a week to really make sure that my energy is always top notch and I'm living longer. And I also have little products that I use every now and then just because I love them. So ISA for me was the initiation of my health journey, and it's just unbelievable. But I just feel so good every single day. And I'm just really, really grateful for the products and the company. Then the business started because I started feeling really, really good. And people at work used to tell me, Thomas, I love your energy. Something's changed. What's happened? Luckily enough, I went to a business event where they presented me with network marketing and the idea of creating a business. And so when people told me, hey, you look different, you sound different, I didn't just say, oh, I'm going to the gym and I'm drinking more water. I actually said, I've been using this nutritional system. And they're like, oh, what's the system? And so that's when I started to share the system with people. I started to really help people lose weight and gain more energy. And without knowing it, the company started paying me. And then I started to build a team. And now it's been, 7 years, I think, where in the first 3 years, I was able to replace my full-time income as a restaurant manager. And now I have a big network of customers that are taking products every single month. I've got quite a big network of distributors, and I've created this beautiful online community where we just support one another. We give value, we share recipes, workouts, and it really has given me this beautiful spark where I'm able to help people with their health goals, because some people just want to help with their health goals. But then going back to questions, whenever I have someone that's in front of me and I'm talking about isogenics, I always ask them a question. I'm like, hey, so we're going to help you with your body goals now, losing this weight or gaining this weight or whatever. But what's your big dream? And most people don't really have that question asked that many times. And so when I'm talking to a single mom, or when I'm talking to someone who has no idea how they can accomplish their big dream, then I just ask them, hey, if I showed you a way where you could achieve this, would you be open to hearing more? And then that's when I just paint the picture of what could be.
And the possibility to end them. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I just love network marketing. It really teaches normal people to have a burning desire to have more, how to become superhumans.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, they don't know that more is possible.
No.
We were kind of grown up in a world of, I know especially I was here in Australia, of you get a job, you work that job, maybe you get a second job, but you grow up, you get married, you have a family, you buy a house, you do the stuff. And that kind of it, there's lucky ones that get all this amazing stuff, but that's just luck. That's all by luck. For the rest of us, we just got to kind of go on the path and do our thing. And we just kind of get what we get and don't get upset, as my kids say. So the fact that anything is possible, and this is just one of many options and opportunities, is
available.
So exciting. And the fact that you even asked that question to me is even more exciting, because you're right. How many people could ask that question in their lifetime?
Exactly. It's one of those moments where you can have a conversation with someone, and then when they ask you that question, time stops for a second, you're fully present with someone, and you actually get to connect on a deep level. And hey, if your souls align, maybe that person will become your next best friend, your next best business partner, and usually, magical things happen after that.
So incredible. So incredible. Well done. It's been an absolute pleasure borrowing this hour of your time. I appreciate it so much. Hopefully there will be more. I won't make any promises to chase you down like last time, hopefully. But no,
we're connected now. Easy.
I know, yeah. You're stuck now. But thank you again. I really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing stories with us and being so open and honest and vulnerable. I appreciate you and what you've done, what you've been through, and now what you're sharing. And as you said, it's your duty. It's a beautiful thing, and it's a beautiful thing. This world is very lucky to have you. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for bringing these conversations to the world. Appreciate you too.
And thank you to all of you for tuning in once again. This was another episode of She Can Humanise Business. You can find me on all of these social platforms, and please follow along. We've got some really cool guests coming up. Thank you once again. Stay happy, healthy, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I would love to hear your feedback around what resonated and what key lessons and learnings that you took out of today's episode. You can find me on Instagram and on LinkedIn under the She Can Humanise Business podcast, or Kiani Mills. I really hope that you were able to see, feel, and experience a new way of humanizing business.